The journey for Finance Birmingham began when we saw an opportunity to provide capital to viable SMEs who were struggling to get access to finance from the mainstream sources.
And what we discovered was that very, very good businesses weren't or hadn't got working capital available to them, and as a result were struggling either to grow or to do the things they needed to do, and that was exactly the reason why Finance Birmingham was formed.
It's a journey that started in partnership with Birmingham City Council, and given the nature of the funding that we provide, it was important that we operate on a commercial basis, but as important, if not more important, that we have a real impact on the local economy.
Delivery is everything, and one of the things we pride ourselves within Finance Birmingham is everything we do, we deliver. We don't promise what we can't deliver.
We've seen unprecedented growth. We've helped a number of companies, both on a national scale and importantly locally.
We've seen employment grow, we've seen value grow, and that's a particularly enjoyable feature of what we do.
It's been an incredible journey to be part of, a journey that's ongoing. In the next 12 months we'll see another step change in Finance Birmingham's business, but more importantly in the number of companies that we can help through their successful growth.
I think it's something we sit back after 3 years saying, you know, it's a good start. We've got a long way to go and we've got a lot we'd like to do, but it's something that we look back on and actually we're quite proud of.
Our business is based around people, and what we try and do is help people better themselves. That's generally what we do, and we do that through specific training programs. So the end result is we want to help people.
Droplet is a mobile money app that lets you load money onto your phone and send payments to anyone in your social network in a couple of taps. And it's different because it's entirely fee-free. And that might sound a bit ridiculous for a business model to base something on a fee-free offering, but it was exactly what we wanted to do when we started. If you start with a business rather than an idea like we did, then it's quite often really important to be able to show how the products that follow necessarily on from that idea are able to generate money. When we first approached Finance Birmingham, that was the exact position we were in.
We started off as pure mobile, using mobile as the vehicle for acquiring customers. And always having the vision to morph into a true business services company. Unfortunately, we started the business in 2006 in March, and it was just prior to the worst macroeconomic climate the world's seen. We were in a privileged position to have access to all the 4 networks in the UK, so we were in a great place. But it soon became apparent that, you know, for the elements of growth that we wanted and for the desire to grow at the pace and the scale that we wanted, we needed to seek additional funding.
We'd banked with the same bank since we started. We actually had no borrowings. It was only at a time where we needed to expand. We had actually spoken to our bank, who couldn't help us, even though they'd had the account for many years and had seen the strength of the business, seen the strength of the monies that we were generating and seen the potential that was happening. It was only Finance Birmingham that actually grabbed it by the horns and said, hang on a minute, we want to do this.
The process was was fairly intense, explaining what we needed and what we were doing and why we were doing it. Doubtless the initial investment from Finance Birmingham, if it hadn't happened, would have almost certainly mean that we weren't here now.
So the availability of funding has allowed us to execute on our plans, and if you're aligned with Finance Birmingham, the level of communication we have with them is great. So for us, it's now looking forward to the future and saying, okay, let's go again. What does that look like? How do we engage Finance Birmingham with that? And that's the next part of the journey for us.
And I remember one of the things Clive Broadhurst, who looks after our account, said to me whilst I'm flapping about due diligence, how dare you ask me this, how dare you ask me that? He said, we just want to help you, and he's absolutely right. Since we worked with Finance Birmingham, things have changed dramatically for us, which means in real terms, we're helping another 1,000 people a year. When we fill out the forms here that say how many jobs we've created, it's usually pointed towards how many jobs are we creating. But our business is about creating jobs for the community.
A lot of business relationships are really much more personally intense than I think anybody expects from the outset, and so choosing your investors wisely is actually just as important as choosing your team members or your co-founders. And sometimes you don't get to make a choice, or it doesn't feel like it was a very voluntary choice. In this case, it was a choice, and we've been very much rewarded by that. So the thing that really matters, whether it's going well or badly, is the people you're dealing with and how well you can get on with them.